This is the Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. Is this toothbrush approved by the American Dental Association?
Toothbrush quote.
I feel like that should ring a bell with me, and it doesn't.
Wait, Little Shop of Horrors? That's the only thing I can think of that has anything to do with the dentist at the moment.
I don't know.
That is a quote from Kevin McAllister in the world's greatest movie, Home Alone.
Oh, I always
course.
forget that you love Home Alone, and then it adds like a whole hidden dimension to you that is very
My
pleasing to
absolute
me.
favorite movie. But you know what's even more interesting, and you may appreciate this? It is my absolute favorite movie because I decided it is.
Oh, really?
So at a certain point in my life, I decided it would be my favorite movie because I needed to have an answer
Oh,
if
right.
anyone ever asked me what my favorite movie was.
Okay. Are you the kind of person that doesn't really have a favorite anything? You
Yeah.
just have like a few things that you
Yeah.
really like? Okay.
I mean, I love the movie,
Yeah. But it's
but
not.
like,
I can't even. Summer's asked me one time for my like top 10 movies, and I
top 100, and I have
gave
the
a
list
list
in
of
my
100,
phone.
and
Yeah.
the list has since
Yeah.
expanded.
I mean, I love many movies that are questionable to most people.
Oh, me too.
But,
I love a bad movie.
But yeah, no, I love Home Alone. I mean, I honestly do love Home Alone. It's classic.
Yeah.
It is.
It is the only. I'm a little okay with Home Alone 2. I've seen it. I wouldn't necessarily choose to watch it again. I do not acknowledge Home Alone 3.
I didn't even know there was one.
Well, that
What
one doesn't
happens
have
in that
Macaulay
one?
Culkin, right?
Yeah, there's no
That's
Macaulay
another kid.
Culkin.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
so it's
But does it have the Joe Pesci and
the Wet Bandits.
yes, the Wet Bandits?
Is that what they're called?
It's their calling card. They leave.
Oh.
You have to have a calling card. All the
So
big names have a calling card.
is Home Alone part of the like John Hughes universe?
I don't know. It's much more kid related
Yeah.
than a lot of the other
The teen.
kind of teen movies of that
Yeah.
time. But yeah, sort of the same time period, I believe.
Yeah. It's
but-
like early 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is a good one. It's a classic.
it's a classic.
I love it.
I love it. It's just so good from beginning to end. I love it. I was gonna originally go with "You are what the French call les incompetents," because that is probably my
Oh.
favorite
I
line
wouldn't
that
have got
runs
that
through my
either.
head all the time. But
Oh my goodness.
All right.
yeah. So, anyways, it's when Kevin goes to the grocery store to get.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
When
He
you're
asks
shopping.
the checker.
Yeah.
Is
Excellent.
this toothbrush approved by the American Dental Association?
As if a kid home alone is going to be brushing their teeth.
I know. I barely do.
Yeah, I know, but remember he like gets all adulty
Yeah.
I know. I
He
keep
takes
expecting
very
that to
good
happen to me.
care of
Doesn't
himself.
happen. Okay. I don't know how to segue into this well. So, Liz, is your story about Summerland today
It is.
ADA approved?
I don't know if Summerland is ADA approved.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to talk today about Summerland and the Big Yellow House. And so, Summerland, if anyone listening has ever driven between Santa Barbara and LA, it's a tiny little town just south of Montecito, which is just south of Santa Barbara. So it's just right down the coast, a little tiny beachside town, and the Big Yellow House, which I drove past literally last week, and I cannot remember if this is true, but I read that it has now been painted white. So it's no longer yellow.
Oh, no, what's that called when you like? Because I just drove by it, I think on Saturday or Sunday, and now that you said that,
Yeah.
I
I'm like, is it white now? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know what color it was.
Anyway, it's been yellow since like the 70s. So,
Okay.
and was a chain of restaurants called the Big Yellow House.
It was a
apparently,
chain?
Oh.
yeah, I had no idea.
Did they weigh you at all of them?
I think so. Yeah.
Did I
so
just spoil something?
No, like I read that, but I wasn't necessarily going to bring it up. But apparently, yeah.
No, I told you guys. Remember, I told you I
you
remember
went there.
going there.
Okay, so yeah.
And they would weigh. So they would weigh you as you came in.
Okay.
And then they would weigh you after you ate.
Kids.
And then they would charge you based on.
Yeah. Not adults.
Was it just kids?
That's what the internet said.
Oh, see, I thought it was.
Your
my
childhood
memory
makes
is
sense
just,
in a new way.
Yeah, so that thing where I assume that everything happened to me happened to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then they would charge you based on
like how much more you weighed.
How much poundage you ate.
How much
so ridiculous.
poundage
That's adorable.
It's adorable.
And only something that could happen in the 70s, right? Like you could never weigh a child and
right now. Oh my gosh. So crazy.
Okay, so it was the 70s. It was a chain restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know how long it was the Big Yellow House, but like since then it has also been a yoga studio. It has been I think most recently an antique store. I don't know that it's still open. It doesn't look like it from what I found out online. And then it was also being used for vacation rentals for a while, like fairly recently. I know. So they have like three like.
Did they weigh you when you arrive and then weigh you when you check out?
Airbnb rooms upstairs. So, but yeah, so Summerland, I learned that as early as 1877, there was oil. So oil is obviously big in the Santa Barbara region. We've got the oil rigs out on the coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Summerland was just, I found some old pictures. We'll have to share one of just like all of these oil derricks all over the beach, all over the bluffs. Like just, it looked horrible. And when they built the wharf or the harbor in Santa Barbara, it changed the way the tides moved down the coast and it wiped out all those oil derricks. So that's kind of interesting. So the founder of Summerland was a man named Henry Lafayette William, or H.L. William.
Okay.
And he moved to Santa Barbara in 1883 with his wife, Sarah Everhard, who he referred to as Katie. I don't know how Katie comes from Sarah, but that's what he called her.
Maybe her middle name was
Could be.
Kathleen.
Could be. Catherine.
Kate.
So H.L. and Katie are living in Santa Barbara, and a few weeks after moving here, H.L. buys Rancho Ortega. So most of Summerland was just ranch land at that time.
Okay.
And so he buys this ranch, about 1,500 acres. Guess how much he paid per acre?
$12.13.
Okay, $16.20 per
Not
acre.
too far off.
Yeah, I feel like real estate costs are going to be like a through line in this podcast.
Yeah.
$1.
Yeah. So in 1884, he builds what is now known as the Big Yellow House. And so,
it's that old. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and so I found like an early photo, and it looks very different.
Was it just a big yellow house?
No, it was. Well, I mean, it's a black and white photo, but it looked like a small brown house.
Okay.
So anyhow, Katie was really involved in spiritualism. And so spiritualism is a religion and a philosophy that believes in mediums contacting the dead. And so she got him really involved, and they frequently held seances at the Big Yellow House.
Big Yellow House.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a known thing. Some like local lore about the Big Yellow House. And
so is the Big Yellow House that we see today the same structure that was built then?
Part of it
Oh,
looks like it was built up later on.
Okay.
And I don't know when exactly that happened, but
But
yeah.
like those seances were done in those rooms.
In that building. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it has grown a bit, but yeah. And so like some of the things that I found about hauntings in Summerland and in the Big Yellow House, funny enough, on Yelp reviews, people mentioned having
They're like not haunted
having
enough.
strange
2
experiences
stars.
there. Yeah. There's a website, Weird California.
Good
and
website.
yeah, and so people that worked there like in the 70s talked about setting up the restaurant for the next day. They would leave the room and hear some loud noises and go back in, and everything was just in disarray with no explanation. One person who visited the Big Yellow House reported that multiple times she saw a woman in a white gown carrying a candelabra that like wasn't there, so ghosty. And there's a local artist, Rod Latham, and that name is so familiar to me, and I don't know why. But
he's I believe he is very involved with the Santa Barbara dance scene.
That's probably why I know it. Okay. So he wrote a book called Spirit of the Big Yellow House about Hector the Ghost. So when he was a teenager, he worked there, and he said that he would often see this ghost Hector that was like an 8 to 10-year-old little boy that was that appeared in the wine cellar a lot. So down in the basement of the house.
Hector is a lush.
Hector the Ghost. He's a little kid. And residents of Summerland have reported just hearing strange noises, not even just associated with the Big Yellow House, but like strange noises and strange feelings and seeing apparitions out on the bluffs. So anyway, back to our friend HL and Katie. So by 1888, so just a few years after building the Big Yellow House, they decide that they're going to establish Summerland as a spiritualist colony. And
Amazing.
I know.
That was going to be my question. Like, was it just the two of them, or did they like get the whole town involved?
So they like draw out plots of land, and they're only 25 by 60 feet. They're going to sell them to visiting spiritualists who would visit and stay in tents while they're there. And so they're like, these small lots are going to be perfect.
A cult.
How much did they sell the lots for?
$20.
$12.47.
You guys are really good at your 1880s real estate prices. $25.
Okay. I said like 3 cents for the other one, so I'm not great.
Yeah, no, but you guys they're fairly close on both of those. So they start selling off these plots of land to fellow spiritualists, and some of them are like, I'm not staying in one tiny tent, and so they would buy like a few, adjacent lots.
I would like 37.
Right?
lots.
I know. Just buy a whole block in Summerland. How much is that worth today?
Seriously.
So Katie dies December 8th, 1888, and 10 days later, the town of Summerland is, well, probably not even really a town because it's just like a little unincorporated area. But anyway.
Census designated place.
Yeah. So it's established on about 150 acres of what used to be the ranch. And so there's a lot of speculation about where the name Summerland came from.
It's obviously named after Summers.
Yes.
Yep. Summer's Land.
So is it based on like the beautiful weather? Is it just HL just said this sounds nice? Or there's a book by Andrew Jackson Davis called Events in the Life of a Seer. And
fun fact.
Yeah.
My brother and I were just talking about this the other day. If I was a boy, I would have been named Andrew Jackson.
Oh gosh.
Oh, amazing. I don't think I had a boy name.
I don't think
Dodged
I
a
know
bullet
either.
there.
But so in this book, the author referred to the home of departed spirits as Summerland.
Right. That's what I'd always heard, that it was part of spiritualist beliefs or something.
So that's kind of the accepted.
So that was like their heaven was called Summerland.
Kind of.
Yeah, or like a transitional area where because the whole thing is contacting the dead. So
the dead live in Summerland.
Yeah.
I sneakily looked it up while you were talking.
Cool.
That it's
How dare you?
It's like
fact
their
check.
top level of, before you brought it up, because I didn't know if you were going to bring it up. It's like their top level of where you get like their nirvana kind of.
Oh, for the spiritualists. Okay, cool. In 1889, the spiritualist colony is dedicated, and 500 people from LA, Santa Monica, and Santa Barbara visit and are buying the land. And on March 31st, 1892, the 44th anniversary of the founding of spiritualism, the cornerstone of the Summerland Temple was laid in the town, and it was called Liberty Hall. So spiritualists continue having annual camp meetings and meeting in Summerland. And regardless of the origin of the name Summerland, locals in the Santa Barbara area start to call it Spookville.
Amazing.
I love it.
Spookville.
Spookville.
I'm going to call it Spookville.
Yeah.
Yes, from now on.
Fantastic.
So, Summerland grows. In 1890, natural gas is discovered. And another thing that led to its kind of creepy atmosphere is like people would, they would light the gas on fire that was just coming out of the ground. And so you could see the fire from Stearns Wharf in Santa Barbara. And so that just kind of added to the spooky reputation. Do you guys remember how like fire used to burn on one of those like piers down there like all the time? Do you remember this?
There's still a
like
eternal
up behind the
flame
mountains.
thing. Mhm.
Is it still there? I guess I just haven't driven that way at
there's-
nighttime.
There's
just
one
vents.
slightly north of. Oh wait, no. Is it slightly
It's like south
slightly
of
south
Carpinteria, right?
of La Conchita?
Oh, okay. Is it
Yeah, yeah,
still?
yeah.
It was between Seacliff and La Conchita
That's
because
where it is.
I
Yeah.
drove by it all
I
the
just
time.
haven't, I guess, driven that way at nighttime in a while. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Is
would
still
always
there?
like if I was coming from the south, there's like a mountain that kind of partially covers it. So I remember like I would always be like, oh my gosh,
It's on fire.
Is it a fire?
Yeah, totally.
And then I'd realize, oh wait, no,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
it's
that
always there.
It's
The
burning off
vented gases.
the
Yeah.
oil.
Yeah. So like as the years go on, the oil and gas industry are growing. There was a soap factory in Summerland.
A soap?
Soap factory. There were cigar factories. So anyway, like as time goes on, a lot of the spiritualists sold their property.
And I bet they wish they hung on to it now.
Well, I'm sure they did all right. Yeah, I mean now obviously it'd be a lot more, but so then just to tell you a little bit more about spiritualism, you guys I'm sure have heard of Maggie and Kate Fox.
Nope.
Never.
Yeah, you have the Fox sisters. So in
Oh, the Fox sisters. Okay. No, still
no,
don't.
still no.
no.
So they were these two girls. They were
Wait, are they any relation to Michael J?
not as far as I know.
Wait, are they spiritualists?
Yes.
Is that why I've heard of them?
Yes.
And they had powers?
No,
Okay.
but yes, maybe.
I was guessing.
What's the word? I don't know. Anyway,
Were they actual foxes?
Could they contact the dead?
yes,
That's what I meant. by
potentially.
powers.
Yeah. So in March 31st, 1848, 44 years before the cornerstone was laid in. Cornerstone. That is
Wait,
a hard
the temple,
word for me.
Is the temple still there?
Is it the church?
I'll get to that.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sure.
Okay,
Horses. Anyway, so Maggie and Kate live in New York. And on March 31st, 1848, they finally convinced their neighbors that the knocking and tapping noises in their homes are ghosts and that they can communicate with them. So,
And that they're not making the sounds
yeah.
themselves.
So that was the beginning of spiritualism. And it was so popular that late in the 19th century, anywhere from 4 to 11 million Americans identified as spiritualists.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so many.
And I meant to look up what the population was in America at that time, so I can tell you percentage.
1%.
But I
What
forgot.
year?
Let's say 1880.
Okay. Don't wait.
Okay,
So wait, how many? You said 11?
4 to 11 million.
4 to 11 million. That's
It's a lot of people, right?
that's also a pretty big.
I mean,
Wow. Okay. So the population in the 1880 census was only just over 50 million.
dude, that's
So
a
that's
big
so
percentage.
many.
Yes.
But
Almost
like, if you
1/5.
think about it, spiritualism isn't like that different than Christianity. It's just saying the quiet parts out loud, right? Like
Yeah.
that you can contact the dead and that they
Yeah.
still exist and everything. Like I feel like that's kind of implied in Christianity. Maybe not the contacting. But
Yeah, and I read that like it was popular also because there wasn't all of like the moral requirements
Oh.
of kind of organized religion. It was really just
Okay.
All
so
the
kind
prayers
of
and
different.
the morality.
It was like the do as you, what is it?
They
Do what
did
thou
have like
wilt
the
kind of
golden
thing?
no, but they had the golden rule like do unto others. But
Oh, okay.
But it was just more about communing with the dead, and so.
Okay.
It was so popular over a 40-year period. There was an average of one book a week published about it. And for a time, there were over 100 periodicals being published about spiritualism.
Wow.
And
God, that sounds fun.
yeah,
I feel like I
They
would
were
have
just
loved that.
like cranking out the zines.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
totally. So Arthur Conan Doyle took
Yeah.
a break from Sherlock Holmes books to write books about spiritualism.
This just kind of sounds like a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
a buck.
100%. So Mary Todd
Like,
Lincoln.
oh no! I'm really into
I'm super
spiritualism
into
right
this.
now.
Yeah, Mary Todd Lincoln visited mediums and held seances in the White House.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
she was like notably bonkers, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I guess 3 of
Yeah.
her 4 kids had died. And so it was like
Yeah,
to
I mean, I
communicate
get it.
with her kids. Speaking of, you guys should watch Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer.
Okay, I want to.
It's so much fun. It's such a fun movie.
Okay.
And I found myself like, obviously apart from the vampire stuff, like so many things that happened. I was like, wait, is this historically accurate? Like, did this really happen?
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's a fun one. Anyway, check it out. Movie Rec. So yeah, so
Wait,
here.
is it Vampire Killer or Vampire Hunter?
Did I say killer? I
Yeah.
think it's Hunter. Yeah.
Humper.
Oh my gosh.
That's a different movie.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not recommending that one.
Don't Google that.
So like I mentioned, it didn't have the moral demands of Orthodox religion.
The moral demands are just really the worst.
There's
part
not
of
like
it.
I didn't see anything about like a Bible or like a text that they really adhere to.
Just the zines.
Yeah, exactly. And it offered opportunities for women to earn money, like as mediums. So opponents, of course, wanted to discredit the female leaders.
You don't say.
Because we can't let the women make money on their own. So anyhow, in 1888, which is the same year that Summerland is being, this up and coming spiritualist community, the Fox sisters declare that the entire thing was a hoax. They were cracking their knuckles, and that's
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yeah,
Okay.
they like could make really loud noises with
There
cracking
were
their
a couple
toes.
things like that.
Yeah.
Can I jump in with
Yeah.
one? I don't know if you've ever, there was this movie in like the early 2000s, I think, called Fairy Tale, A True Story, I think it was. And it was about these two girls who were like, they lived in kind of a natural area, and they borrowed their dad's camera and went and took some photos that looked to people at the time somehow like there were fairies in the photos. And Arthur Conan Doyle was like, these are fairies. And he got like really behind it and like researched it and had people come verify it. And then later the two sisters, it sounds a lot like the Fox sisters, they were like, oh yeah, no, we just drew some drawings, and like I'm posing in the photo and I could see like the pins on the back of the drawings, and it was really depressing that all the adults believed us.
There was a lot about like technological advances in photography and stuff at that time really led to a lot of the popularity, and then there was a lot of like scientific examination of trying to prove or disprove.
Oh right, yeah. This sounds like the same kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah,
Arthur
the Fox.
Conan Doyle sounds like a grifter.
Yeah,
a bit.
like
There's,
Houdini.
fairies.
Ooh,
They just look like they're illustrations from a book of the time, like
yeah,
they don't look realistic. But
totally.
anyway.
We'll put that one on our Insta.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Houdini offered like money for somebody to prove that it was real, basically, and so he went around discrediting people.
Oh, and are you going to talk about him?
No,
Oh,
Kelly.
Okay.
Is
He
it
and
enough?
his wife
Is it
had
enough for another episode?
Did he come
Honestly,
to Santa Barbara?
I feel like I know.
We should do.
There are all these, like,
If there's a
directions I
connection to
wanna go.
Summerland, we should wait for another.
No, it's just like a little vignette about him, was that he and his wife had like a code for like if he died first, which he did, like how he was going to show her that he was still around.
Oh.
Like he was going to, I think it was like float a feather or something.
Ooh,
Never happened.
interesting though.
Yeah.
Wow. So the Fox sisters declared that the entire thing was a hoax. But then a year later, one of them recants that statement and insists that it was
She's
all
like,
real.
Money dried up.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say
Yeah.
her bank
And
account
it
was
did.
looking a little low.
Yeah.
The money
Actually,
did
guys,
dry up.
no,
So that's just a little bit about how spiritualism came around. And
Sorry, could you tell us again when that was that they recanted? And
1888.
Oh, okay. So
Summerland's
still going strong for a long time.
That's like right as Summerland is
okay.
starting up. Yeah.
All right, never mind then.
And so
but they were on the other coast, right?
yeah, they were in New York.
Didn't get
New
to
York
the
State.
scene.
I know, right?
Took a while.
For a while.
They had to
Their
throw all the
subscription lapsed.
zines in the back of a covered wagon.
So anyhow, back to Summerland.
Mm-hmm.
When was the printing press invented?
Like the 1700s.
I don't know.
Were they handwritten zines? I'm gonna need more info.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So you asked if Liberty Hall was still there, and it is not. It was demolished in 1951 to make way for the 101 to be built.
Oh, okay. The freeway.
But it was relocated to 1028 Garden Street, where it still exists.
What?
Still active.
In Santa Barbara?
The
Field trip.
Spiritualist Church of the Comforter.
Can we go?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we have to go.
So they have 9. Their website is cool. I'm totally like, I buy it. I'm in. They have 9 principles. One of which I mentioned is like just do unto others. Which
Can
for
I
me is
go
like, that's
even
all
if
we
I
need.
can't crack my knuckles?
Yes, let's do it.
You don't have to
But,
perform a seance
I
to
have
get
to
in.
get in. But principle 5 of their 9 principles is we affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism.
Sweet.
I
I'm
can't
like
go.
so much more into this than I. No, but I'll pretend. Like
We
So
like
to
the
check out-
Fox sisters.
They have a newsletter. I didn't check it out, but you should check out their newsletter.
They're conveniently
They
convenient
open
believers,
Sunday at 10:30.
like the Fox
I
sisters.
think we should go.
Let's go. So like one more little tidbit about Summerland and Spiritualist is that many of the homes built by Spiritualists in Summerland are rumored to have hidden rooms where the spirits of the dead loved ones would enter during seances. And
It's like like the family room at a funeral home.
Yeah.
Only it's for the dead people.
Dead family.
just to go in and say, hey, are you good? And I believe it looks like the Big Yellow House is for sale currently.
Let's buy it.
I know.
With our
Oh wait,
Guess
are we
how
gonna
much it
guess? Yeah, we're gonna guess how much it is.
Yes.
$37 billion.
Okay, you're off this time.
Okay, is it? I don't know, 4 million.
I would say 7.6 million.
$7.925 million
Oh
for
my
the Big
gosh.
Yellow House. And
Yeah.
I was going to tell you, the sources that I was looking at. I was reading the winter 1988 issue of Noticias, the SB Historical Society's quarterly magazine. They're all archived online. It's awesome. New Yorker magazine, there was an article by Casey Sepp. Coastal View News, which is the little Carpinteria newspaper. There's an article by Fran Davis, an LA Times article by Anne Brenoff, the San Marcos High School newspaper, the King's Page, an article by Evelyn Franklin.
I bet Evelyn never knew she'd be.
Yeah, and of
quoted.
course the ones I mentioned, Weird California, Yelp, and the Spiritualist Church's own website. And there was a line from the last line actually in the LA Times article that I really I enjoyed and I thought was fitting, and so I'm going to read it to you. It says, "The dread of mortality has always inspired the dream of immortality, and the hopes that animated Victorian spiritualism are eternal. To bridge the divide between ourselves and those we have lost, to know they're safe and content, and to believe that they are thinking of us just as much as we are thinking of them."
Like it.
Aw.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I add?
Yes.
Okay, so even though the Fox sisters were in the 1880s, you said that they recanted?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, are you going to tell us they turned a DeLorean into a time machine?
No. So the fairies thing that I mentioned, which is the Cottingley fairies, that happened in 1917. So, like, I feel like people were just like, oh, yeah, well, maybe they were making it up, but other people are definitely contacting the dead. And then, like, the Winchester Mystery House, which was famously
Was she
connected
a
to the... Yeah, she
spiritualist?
had seances. Like, there's a room on the tour that has, like, the weird spiritual, like, hooded cloaks that everyone... There was hooks for them all around the room that people would wear.
Cloak hooks.
And that's 1923 that it was, I guess, completed, if it was ever really completed.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's going strong.
Totally.
Throughout the 1920s and like...
And now, apparently.
Well, strong is probably strong.
I know.
It's
How
like-
many people, I wonder, are
Well, probably definitely not like a fifth of the,
the country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
anymore. But I wonder also like if there are families still in Summerland
That have been there forever.
that have been there since
That are
then
still
that have like,
spiritualists.
or that were like their ancestors were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd love it if they were still having seances, but I doubt
Yeah.
it.
Well, I
But it
mean,
would be interesting to know, like, if there were any people that had, I don't know, the zines left over in the attic.
Right. Yeah.
Can we come in and read your zines?
There's actually the Library of Congress, and I think the Gledhill Library in town has it, but it's not online. H.L. Williams' diaries from the first year that he.
Oh, cool.
Lived in-
You think it says why he called her Katie?
I don't know.
right? We find out that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We
Yeah.
should go look at those sometime.
I know. We should go check out the Big Yellow House too.
Yeah.
The big-
So the Big Yellow House, for people who haven't been here, Summerland is an interesting little community because you drive on the 101, US 101, and it's just like to the side of the freeway, and there's like an exit, and it's all on a hillside. Really crammed together, I guess, because of those original.
There's quite a
Lots,
few of those along
right?
the California coast,
Yeah.
just these tiny little seaside
yeah.
towns that are very densely.
Right,
you
they're
know.
just like little pockets, kind
Yeah,
of,
mhm.
like next to the
Cayucas,
freeway.
Pismo Beach, all those little
Sea
pocket.
Cliff. Is that one?
Yeah, that's
kind
pretty
of?
small. I mean, yeah, Lock and Cheetah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a smaller version, but that's just residential. Summerland, like I always thought it'd be like, oh, I'd love to live in this little, but like honestly, they don't have. There's no Starbucks. They don't have it. Like
But they do have a coffee shop.
they have a little. They have like a
Yeah.
couple little retail.
Like the drug
and
front rich lady
restaurants.
kinds of stores.
Yeah, antique shops.
Lots of antique shops.
I mean, you
yeah.
definitely have to drive into town to do your grocery shopping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or down to Carp.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, I loved living at Seacliff, but it was not convenient
Right.
in any way.
You have to leave to do anything. What was I going to say about it? I don't remember what I was going to say about it. It's just like off the side of the freeway real quick. You could blink and miss it when you drive by, right? And then
well, especially now that the big yellow house isn't yellow anymore.
Yeah.
'Cause that was like the giant landmark.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
that
I
was
was
sort of
gonna
the
say-
biggest,
eyesore.
the biggest thing.
There's the Summerland Beach Cafe though, still, right? Like that's a destination, I guess. But then, yeah, the Big Yellow House was the first Santa Barbara ghost story I ever heard. Like,
really?
I mean, I never heard the story really. It just it's
like,
haunted.
oh, it's haunted.
And then there would be like, I don't know, not Unsolved Mysteries, but like that kind of show, but about ghosts. And I feel like they sent ghost hunters to it one time.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll
I'll have to try to find out what that was.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny that, like, you know, in the 1800s, you had these people that were, like, super into it, and then they were like, oh, haha, just kidding. It was fake. And then you brought up that, like, yeah, then later they were like, oh, no, like, these fairies are real. Like, those people, that was a hoax, but this is really real. And then, like, you know, obviously that's a thing that's still happening because there's still TV shows
all the time. Yeah.
about, you know, oh, hey, we heard that we have this special device that makes it so you can hear things. And clearly I am a skeptic to a lot of this stuff, but
I would love to believe in it.
I think I think it's just that idea that, like, yeah, like people want to believe in these kinds of
in
things.
life after death, you don't want to.
You don't want to just
you
blink
die
out
and
of
then
existence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a market, quote unquote, for
sure.
this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so Aleister Crowley, right? Or Crowley? I don't know.
From the
So
book,
it seems like
character
spiritualism is
from
like
the book Good Omens.
Book rec.
no. So his whole
Show rec.
thing was like way more. It was way more like evil, like do what you want to do. That was his thing.
Okay.
It wasn't the golden rule. It was just like do what you want, or do what thou wilt. And then it seems like spiritualism is like, to them at the time, almost like a scientific happy medium, like kind of value neutral, but a little bit good. It's like,
Yeah, there was nothing.
it's not chaotic good, certainly.
It wasn't like contact
true
the dead
neutral.
in order to do your evil bidding.
Right.
Yeah.
It was more like
was like
just
comfort.
keep the lines open
Yeah,
to these
and,
people
like,
that are lost.
Don't mess with people more than you would want to be messed with, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a, of the time, pretty apt thing.
Yeah. I was thinking of, like you mentioned, being a skeptic, and I was thinking the other day that it's like a spectrum, you know.
Oh yeah,
Or
skepticism
definitely
has a spectrum.
What's that like personality test? It's like a spider web, and like it varies on each. What is that thing called?
I don't know. It
But
sounds
I'm
like an autism test.
But you know,
that
it's
I
like,
recently
oh,
took.
do you believe in ghosts? Maybe you're like this far up on this one little portion,
okay.
and then how do you believe in Ouija boards? Like, oh no, or like yes, and then do you believe? You know, just kind of, it's really varied. Whether
Could you
you're
find it for a future
skeptic.
episode?
Yeah,
We could
I'll
bring it
figure
back
out
up.
what the
Okay.
heck it's called.
I think she's referencing one that's more like personality types and values, but she's putting it in the context of this.
Of like, yeah, just like are you a skeptic?
Oh,
or
so it's
are
not a
you-
real one.
Are you
It's
a
not a real-
spooktic?
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm strangely literal, so if you tell me it's like something, I'm going to be like, oh, that exists.
No.
So
We'll make one.
I mean,
We'll make a quiz.
I'm a skeptic, but I
let's do it.
still will turn off the lights but run to bed.
you're a
Like,
superstitious.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sleep without a blanket covering my feet because clearly something terrible is gonna happen and a monster is gonna reach
I'm
out
like,
from under my
organized
bed.
religion, heaven, no. But then, watch a
Yeah.
scary movie and freak out all
Right.
night.
I can't
yes.
walk to the laundry room without being afraid of the Blair Witch.
Yeah, like I told someone the other day, I don't believe in ghosts at all, but I did stay in a house that was legitimately haunted.
Yeah.
On an island in the Caribbean. I mean, I don't believe in that stuff at
it was.
all, but that house was 100% haunted.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. Like, I'm so logical. Well, no, I'm not logical, but like, I don't believe in anything. It's like my whole thing. But yeah, as soon as I was in a house that was more than 100 years old in Bangor on vacation, like I couldn't walk around with the lights off.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because, and I was like actually going like, please don't show yourself to me. Please don't show yourself to me.
If there's anyone there, I really don't want to talk right now.
I don't want to see you. I will panic. Like,
Didn't you put like a glass of water in front of the door or
yes,
something?
nobody could open it.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I also want to set some healthy boundaries with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's this book called The Ghost That Haunted Itself, book rec, the scariest book I have ever read.
Ooh.
And I've never felt so seen as when Joey stores The Shining in the freezer, because I would put a leg of a chair on top of my copy of The
Oh my
Ghost That
gosh.
Haunted Itself to keep the ghost in, because it's a true story. And there's part of it where like you didn't have to be in the location where the ghost was. Like
Nope.
knowing about it could
Don't like
make
that.
it
Oh, yeah.
go
no,
with
I
you.
don't
And
think I want to read that one. I mean, I don't believe
it's
it,
so
but I don't
freaking-
want to read it.
it's so freaking good. But yeah, if you do it, I recommend
Something to.
placing a heavy object on it at night to keep the ghost in.
I feel like I'm pretty skeptical, but also like I saw a ghost in my apartment in Isla Vista
Right.
twice. So
And I believe you.
that place is
So, like,
definitely haunted.
yeah. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. And I apologize to our dozens of listeners for my ADHD at all times. I actually dated someone who lived in Summerland and is a magician.
Oh.
And maybe he will agree to come on the
Ooh.
podcast at some point. And
Is it Houdini?
no,
There's the connection.
I know it's a real person, Jen.
Houdini was a real person?
A real living person.
My father-in-law lived there.
But
for
so
like,
Wait, was
He-
Houdini a fairy? Or did he actually exist?
He existed. He was an illustration. So this guy, we'll call him George, which is not his name, but George was involved in like wider magician circles, like legit magicians.
Ooh.
And some of them put on seances, but they are performance seances, right? Like, and I guess that I don't really understand where the line is, where it's sort of designed to prove that it's fake, but they do it like it's real. And just like the questions that you can ask of someone to get like the leading questions and the like, I feel like it's almost like a flow chart. Like, I sense this person has like red hair or, you know, whatever. And like just how you can lead and manipulate someone with, it's basically like,
I mean, that's sort of like being a magician.
yeah, but like
Because
the
they don't,
seances
like-
still are happening.
Yeah. I mean, like magicians aren't like, oh no, I literally can pull things out of my ear. Like it's sleight of hand. We all like, we know that.
Yeah.
We know that like things don't
Yeah.
appear and reappear. It's just like, wow, that
Don't
person
they?
is really talented in making that
Yeah, the
appear
illusion.
Right. Yeah.
to
like,
have
there's a show,
happen
Jonathan.
magically.
Yeah. There's a show, Jonathan Creek, where he would like, it was a fictional show, but like a mystery kind of thing. And he was a magician. Jonathan was a magician, and he would like show you just how boring his tricks were, like, and how much prep. Like if he was going to do a trick for you when you went out to dinner, he'd like go there ahead of time and set it up with someone, you know, like
Yeah.
that kind of just like boring minutia. But,
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not disparaging magicians. Like, I'm not trying
You
to,
can.
no, it's just like, I think that to be a good magician, you have to be very, very good at your talent. But
And you have to
like,
have a little showmanship.
exactly. But like at the end of the day, I know that you didn't make that chicken appear in your hat.
It's just entertainment.
well, okay. So
I know that
George-
chicken had been hiding somewhere.
George hypnotized me once. It wasn't nefarious or anything. Like I was conscious the whole time, but like
It was a consensual
it
hypnotism.
was because I didn't believe he could do it. And then, and it was like it was the weirdest situation ever for me, because I was just sitting in a chair and he did his little hypnosis thing. And then he goes like, get up. And I couldn't I didn't feel like I couldn't get up. It was like, I can't want to get up. It was like an interesting
Weird.
thing. Yeah. And like the only thing that was, because he wasn't like hypnotizing me and telling me to do it. He was like, you can't get up, but like try.
Huh.
And like I couldn't.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't believe that that's magic. Like, I believe
No, it
in
was
the
just
power
suggestion,
of
yeah.
suggestion and the power of people's ability to manipulate other people
Yeah.
and be very, very good
Would
at it.
you ever agree to somebody to try to hypnotize you?
Oh God, no. I just like. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I would
It
either.
sounds creepy. I mean, honestly, like anything, like it sounds kind of like
Ick.
just secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I don't think I could. I mean, again, no offense to magicians, but I don't think I could sit there and take you seriously. If so, like honestly, just the idea of someone making like eye contact with me
Yeah, I
For
know.
that
I'm
long
sorry,
of
I'm making eye contact right now.
time sounds
Because
terrible.
I force myself to do it to look like a normal human.
No, but like if I mean if you like, I mean.
The
Someone,
thing, yeah.
honestly, the idea of like someone making sustained eye contact and trying to do something very particular at me sounds awful. I just don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
I don't think I could have done, like, if you and Liz were in the room with me and it was happening, I couldn't have, like, I would have been way too self-conscious. And, like, it was just that, like, we were just, like, in his living room and I was sitting in a chair. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
And
How do
then-
you? So
How do I know I'm done being hypnotized?
maybe you're still no, but how do you know that like he didn't? I mean, you say that what
You
you
were conscious
remember
the
is
whole
that you
time.
tried to get up and you couldn't get up, but maybe you did get up and maybe he had
mean,
you
maybe,
go
but
and
I just-
rob a bank and
He
come
could've.
back.
He could have. But, like, it just didn't feel like there was any gap in consciousness at all. It was just, like, I think he just, like, made me look at a playing card or something. And then he just, like, put his finger on my forehead and was like, get up. And I couldn't do
Whoa.
it.
So
Light as a
weird.
I
feather,
couldn't
stiff
want
as
to
a
do
board.
it. It was really weird. And then, I mean, I think he did something. Like, I was still drinking at the time. So I think.
How many shots did
Maybe
you do
he
first?
just drugged you.
No, he didn't. He was a nice man. But he, like, did something that was, like, made it clear that it was over. And then he probably just said, like, you're not hypnotized anymore.
Wow.
It was totally not like, you know, look at this, like, pendulum or whatever. It was just, like, really just, like, dude in a room.
Huh.
I don't know. It was interesting.
Wild.
The other thing I learned from him is that magicians, like, sell their tricks to each other.
Oh, interesting.
see
And they pay
Yeah.
a lot of money for them.
That makes sense.
And I think that's probably all I'm allowed to say.
I'm glad that you dated this magician
Me
so
too,
that
and-
we can
yeah.
continue to have conversations about
Yes.
it.
It was also, remember Rob, my coworker, who shared an office with me?
Stop smoking, Rob.
Yeah. Jeez, Rob.
If you're listening.
I bet he would listen if we sent him a link.
Yeah.
Really quick, let's hypnotize him into smoking cessation
Yes.
hypnotism.
I mean,
right
that's
now.
a legitimate.
Yeah.
Crossover
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. So he said my favorite thing ever to me about dating, where I like had arranged this date with the magician and he seemed perfect. And I was like, there's going to be something wrong with him. And Rob just looked at me like so witheringly. And he was like, so there's something wrong with you. And it's like my mantra for dating.
He was a delight.
He was wonderful.
I
I mean,
enjoyed
he
him.
still is, but he just isn't here.
He's still alive. I feel we
Yeah,
should
he's
mention.
still
Should we ask the magic 8 ball a
With us.
question?
Yes.
What are we going to ask? I asked the last one, so somebody else has to.
Oh, was that me?
ask.
That's me. Okay. So I think I haven't used one of these in forever. Jen, thank you for bringing your personal 8 ball. I just like ask the question and shake
it's a
it.
magic 8 ball, not
Yeah.
a drug 8 ball.
right. Not that kind of
feel I
8 ball.
should mention.
Oh yeah, no.
Magic 8 ball.
I wouldn't
I don't have
expect
a
you to share
personal.
that. I just shake it while asking the question and then look. Is
Yeah.
that what I do? Okay, so I think the question is going to be: were the Fox sisters really contacting the dead?
Were
Ooh.
the Fox sisters full of shit?
No, it's were they,
No,
were they
the
real?
Fox sisters
Oh.
really
Can't do
contacting
an or
the dead?
question.
Did they have
Were they?
powers?
We can't do an or question.
That's it. That's the question. Okay. Oh, most likely. Sweet. See, I
Most
didn't-
likely it was real.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I didn't want to ask a question that. This was my problem with the 8 ball was I was afraid we were going to do like, are ghosts real? And it would be like, no. And then
It
our
would be like,
podcast
okay,
would be
well,
over.
This has been Girls Guide.
Yeah. All right. Is that, what do we do? How do
Yeah.
we close? Goodbye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, 12 of you.
Thanks for listening to The Ghoul's Guide to Santa Barbara. Like and subscribe on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ghoul's Guide to SB.
Our website is ghoulsguidetosb.com. Got a spooky story or know of a haunted or paranormal location in Santa Barbara? Send it to us at ghoulsguidetosb@gmail.com.